Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Kate.
Hello.
We were just backstage freaking out because there's so many of you here watching. We're very excited. We have been working on this stream for a couple months now, and just when we got the idea and when we got Kate to say yes, that she would teach technique today, we were over the moon. So we are so excited to see all of you here today. If you haven't yet, tell us in chat where you are joining from. I'm here in the greater Seattle area. And Kate is on the other end of the US.
Yep.
Yeah, Rhode Island, yeah. So, and we'd love to hear if you already have a Glowforge, what kind you have. And I'd also love to hear from y'all, like, which national parks you're excited about. We'll get into those in a minute. But it's so good to see all of you. Okay, I'm seeing Texas with the emoji with the cowboy hat. Obviously, is catching my eye. We've got Canada, Florida, Pittsburgh, Fort Wayne, Indiana, all over. Oh my gosh. So fun. I love doing these live events and just seeing where y'all tune in from. Illinois, Glowforge Pro. So the cool thing about this project today, y'all, is that so if you're here, you probably signed up at Cozy Crafternoon, glowforge.com/Cozy Crafternoon. If you haven't signed up yet and you just found yourself here somehow, you can go sign up and then we'll email you the files that we'll be working with today. So you're seeing a sneak preview right now in the upper left, which is what we're going to be kind of finishing and working through some techniques and tips on today. But these are national parks layered art. And so you'll get 3 free SVGs. They work with any of the Glowforge printers because they're easy to scale for any of them. Or if you have different types of cutting machines, digital cutting machines like a Cricut or other vinyl cutters, these should work with those too, and you can use different materials, etc. So a very flexible project, but today we're focusing on the painting and finishing technique of it. So before we get started, I did want to mention we have some special bundles that just launched this morning on glowforge.com in honor of this stream. They are called the Maker's Mastery Bundles. We did a pro version and we did an aura version because we know everybody is coming to this whole laser thing from a different place. Maybe you are gonna dive in, head first and gonna start a business and gonna print huge things. And if you're gonna do that, you wanna go for the Glowforge Pro. But if you're just dipping your toe into lasers for the first time and you just wanna try crafting things on a slower and smaller scale at home, then the aura might be better. So we've got 2 of those bundles. I'm gonna email the details of those to you afterwards, but just to wrap your mind around them a little bit, they come with the printers, so either the Pro HD or the Aura, and then the filters and proof grade. And the Pro version has about a $1,200 savings, and the Aura version has about a $600 savings. So really good deal. And if this is a good time for you, I know I just got my tax refund. It's tax day yesterday, but I filed a little bit early, a little bit. It came fast, so maybe that'd be a good time to get a Glowforge. So, and in the spirit of getting money and getting Glowforge things, we're doing a giveaway today for a $250 Glowforge gift card. So if you already have a Glowforge, you can use it to get proof grade materials or designs or whatnot. And if you don't have a Glowforge yet, it will apply towards a printer purchase. So to enter that, go ahead and click the link. I think we have it like bookmarked at the top of the chat, and it's a Google form, so you'll need to be, I know we're very high tech around here, you'll need to be signed into Google, sorry, and we'll just need your name and email. We'll do a drawing later, and I will email you this afternoon if you've won. So with that, I just talked so much, sorry, Kate. Kate, you want to give us a little bit about yourself? We've been working together for a couple years here at Glowforge, but why don't you introduce yourself?
Almost 2 years now. So I am an artist that has recently started to dabble into the 3D world. I think that I started with 3D art around the same time that I started at Glowforge.
Yep.
So where the idea came from, these paintings are kind of based off of the old school Disney movies. So if you remember, like back when they were all like hand painted frames, you can see them, and there's a couple museums that have them, but they'll have all of like the stacked frames together. And one day the idea just came to me, and I was like, how can I make this like modern kind of?
Yeah.
So I took some of my national park pieces, which is from a collection that I did back in 2020. And I kind of staggered them to try and figure out how I could add that 3D magic to like regular everyday landscapes that I'd already created. So I chose 3 of my favorite national parks. We have Yosemite, Sequoia, and Smoky Mountains. And today we're going to be focusing on the Yosemite piece that I have right here. But yeah, I've really enjoyed the 3D journey. It's been very fun to figure out how to like incorporate my Glowforge with my art.
I love the 3D-ness, and I'll give you a sneak peek. I'm here literally painting a different one than we're doing today, but I just printed this beforehand. This is the Great Smoky Mountains one. And I mean, the 3D layering effect is so fun. It looks incredible. Oh yeah, there's the finished version. My painting technically is something I've been taking the class yet, everyone, sorry. But I know exactly the layered Disney pieces that you're talking about. I wonder if we've been to some of the same museums, because I actually, fun fact, worked at Disneyland for about a year when I was in my early 20s, right out of college, and we got to see some of the behind the scenes stuff. And I always thought that was incredible that they were hand painted. Like, of course they were for the time, but you don't consider the true handiwork that went into those. So that's really fun. I never knew that about you until right before this we were chatting and she shared that. And I was like, I had no idea. So if you signed up for this, you probably got our little, you got the instructions, and I'll mention that we're going to do just one of the pieces today, but Kate recorded videos of all 3, and they will be available on YouTube. I think they're in the description of this video right now. So if today we're doing the Yosemite one and you want to tomorrow do the Sequoia one, etc., it's like about a 5 or 6 minute video, but she talks through the painting technique for each layer, and that's how I did. I'm going to skip forward my own script. And I did like a nighttime theme with it. I just honestly, I just like doing that splatter effect with the stars. And so that's my one technique I'm really confident about in my own painting is splatter. So I love it. And I haven't put a frame on this one yet, but I did use the foam in between, and it's actually, it's a little hard to show on camera, but it's really visually stunning in person. And I was really shocked what a difference the foam made in making the layers really pop. So with the instructions, you will have gotten a supply list, and it includes some foam, which Kate will show later. It's like a scrapbooking product you can find at Michael's, etc. Yeah. But Kate, I've said before we get started 10 times now, really before we get started, can you tell us like a little bit of the background of why you did the National Parks art collection to begin with and what inspired it?
Yes. So these 3 pieces were probably like 3 of my most well-loved parks. And so the National Park collection started back in 2020.
Memorable year.
Yeah. I am a 2020 college grad. So I had this plan I was moving to California. I was going to go see all these parks along the way, and I had this whole trip planned out. And then all the parks were shut down, the world shut down with it. And so I just kind of like started posting on the internet to like pass the time, because all I was doing all day was painting anyway. And so I had started like posting the journey, and I was like, you know what, if I can't go to these national parks, like, why don't I just paint them and like we all visit them virtually? So that's what we did. You guys voted as I went along, and kind of chose which park was next. And so I think in total we did like 18.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, everyone whose trips were canceled, we all just hung out on the internet and painted the parks.
I love that. That is so cool. I think of these 3, I think Yosemite is the only one I've been to. I thought embarrassingly, I thought I might have been to Sequoia, but no, I had mistaken. I've been to one much further north in California. I was like, oh, I'll say it's right by the Trees of Mystery, which, by the way, if anybody here has been to Trees of Mystery, shout out in the chat. It's like one of those classic roadside attractions that you might see when you're touring the national parks, but I think I meant Redwoods National Park. But Yosemite I went to during COVID. Once they reopened, I think it was in 2021, my husband and I did a road trip from up here in Seattle down to Joshua Tree, and we stopped in Yosemite on the way. And I was just looking back at my pictures to see if I had a good one to share. I didn't. I don't know why we didn't take a nice picture. No, we didn't. It's pictures of the mountains, but none of them with me in it. Yeah. But I was coincidentally there on Yosemite's 130th birthday. So I thought that was kind of random and cool. And yeah, national parks are amazing. And I'm excited to visit more of them coming up. I hope I get the opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, with that, do you want to dive in?
Yes. Do we want to cut out the frame first?
Yeah. So you'll notice for a lot of this project, we're using this craft paper type. Here it is right here. But for the frame,
I want to grab it.
Up and down. Different versions of the same paper. So this is what we use to paint on. But we did make a frame for your finished project out of proof grade. So we'll show you that part right now.
Alrighty, so I just have the top frame left to cut. And we've got about, let's see. Oh, some of my rainbows are on my Glowforge from my sun catcher.
Yeah, it's really pretty. Oh, is that what it's from like the sun coming in?
On my skylight window, so it's like all scattered in the afternoon. It's gorgeous.
I love that.
Alrighty, so it's
okay. I see in chat that some of you are saying that you signed up ahead of time and did not receive the files or instructions. So I will let our helpers in chat figure out a resolution for that, but we do have the link, and perhaps we need to do a resend of all of the files in the follow-up to this. So if you got the email in which you got the link for this, that should have also had the files in it. But we can do a resend right after this so everybody gets them.
Okay. Are we all set?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a pretty simple cut, not the most visually interesting to watch. Like these are actually really cool to watch cut because you can see there's a lot of like intricate detail of the tree lines and things like that. But right now Kate is cutting on, which hardwood did you go with? She probably can't hear me because it's so loud. But we're cutting on proof grade. Yeah, she's like, I can't hear what you're saying. We're cutting on proof grade wood right now. So once Kate's print is done, she'll be able to tell us which kind. I think we went with either a maple or a walnut, or maybe a cherry. Okay, yeah, I'm seeing y'all in chat saying the sound. I love that sound, the sound of creativity. That's a very positive spin on it. Right. Are we good?
Yep. So
that's why we pre-printed the rest of it for y'all. Oh, what settings do you use for the artboard? Laura, great question. It is not one that is like pre-programmed in there, obviously. I have a Glowforge Pro and I used the cardboard settings, the 1/8 inch cardboard that were programmed in there, and those did work for me. I tried a couple others, like there's some craft paper settings in there and it didn't quite cut all the way through. It was like a little too light of a touch. But I also have quite an older laser too, so I would do the cardboard.
Another intricate cut to kind of show you.
Yeah.
On this other cam. But the grass is one of those little moments where like I like to show off just how like good the material is like structurally.
Yeah.
So not only is it like super malleable and able to hold a lot of water, but it also holds those cuts and through transport too, because I moved this over. So
I see someone's asking in chat, could we do this all out of wood?
You could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think then just the painting technique, you would need to switch your strategy there. Like you'd either have to do something like a draft board, which is the proof grade product that we sell that's a little bit more porous. And so it would pick up the paint, but you might not be able to do the same type of effects. Or maybe you'd need to paint like white on the background and then paint over it. But
yeah, you can do draft board too. That's another favorite material of mine.
Oh, so you have done them out of draft board?
Yeah. So the big 3D collection last summer called Back to Newport. And I did a bunch of locations where from the city I moved to, all out of draft board. So for those going on my Instagram, you'll be able to scroll and see that. Biggest I've ever worked. So I use like the pass-through slot on the Pro, and yeah.
That's awesome. I think some acrylics for the sky would be cool. Oh, I love that you all are getting very multi-material with it now. Yes. Yeah, and I mean the painting, I mean, Kate comes to us as an artist where she's like, she works with all different medias. Sorry, I've got a barking dog in the background. But I love that everyone is coming like, what else could we do with this file? What materials could we do with it? I mean, you could take this in a totally different direction. You could do different layers of different materials, paint some, not paint others. Could be really interesting.
Yeah, you can really make it your own. The only rule is that there are no rules, and you can all make it up as you go along. Because that's how I got here. So
I love that.
That's like a style for this. If anyone in chat knows what this style is called, I have never been able to find a name.
So the style of what you're doing?
Of like 3D art, like that's layered and assembled like this. I cannot find a style name for it, and I've been wanting to for so long, but
you need to patent it yourself. Okay, I'm painting myself right here. And I'm being a very professional artist with my palette that is literally like a little plate from my kitchen.
I started out with paper plates and egg cartons, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you don't need to overinvest in the tools, you know?
No,
like
not at all.
As you go.
Yes, so I am starting in with the water here, and I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of how I layer. Now, if you want to know how I layer the colors and shades in more detail, we do have those videos where I walk you through the process for all 3 of them, and I go into a little bit more detail in those, so definitely check those out. But to start here, I have done the mid-tone on, I do 3 shades to kind of put it into perspective. So the mid-tone, shadows, and then the highlights. And so I've done the mid-tone on this, which is this level or shade of blue. And then I have these little shadows in here. So I go in with the shadows second. And now I'm on the 3rd step, which is to go in with the highlights, which is the most fun part because that's when you make the water sparkle.
Okay, so you kind of think of it as 3 different
like sections.
Okay.
So, did we turn my mic back up after?
Yes.
Okay. I heard someone say they couldn't hear me, so I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, Kate, people are suggesting that you need to name the technique yourself.
Taking name suggestions, guys.
Yeah. Some creative.
Can all come up with it together.
What kind of paint is this? Great question, Bernadette. We were going to talk about that. It's called gouache.
Yes. So I use, this is the brand that I use. There are so many different good brands of gouache, so find something that works for you. But the brand that I use is called Turner Design. And
I have one called Artist Loft that I got at Michael's.
Yeah. Also that Ralph used. So gouache is kind of like a hybrid medium. So if acrylic and watercolor had a baby, it would be gouache.
Yeah, I have only used acrylic and watercolor, and then I bought this and did that one the other day, and I was like, this is so cool. These are so fun. You can blend them, and you can, I don't know,
water them down, leave them opaque. So that's why it's my favorite medium. I just discovered this medium back in like 2020. So I'm like new to it, so to speak, in terms of like artist years.
So what was your favorite paint before that? Were you into acrylics?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I totally get it. The people who want acrylic for the sky, because that used to be me.
And I think it's funny that we're doing kind of a painting focused stream, because I think sometimes in our crafting, the crafting that we show for Glowforge, we want to show you everything that you can make that's like totally done the minute it comes out of the Glowforge. And there's a lot of things like that, a lot of projects that are, mostly done or just require some gluing or whatever. But if you can incorporate some more advanced finishing techniques like painting and level yourself up as an artist and a maker in that way, where you're not like too intimidated to try the painting, like, wow, does it expand what you can do with your Glowforge, right? So we shared these designs early with this creator, Ralph Tyndall, if you look him up on YouTube or TikTok or anything, and asked him to do a video of of one of these for us. And he shared in the video that he was so intimidated by the painting part of it. And because he's an incredible crafter and card maker, paper artist, and his stuff is gorgeous. And it didn't occur to me that he would be intimidated by this project. And he did a great job, but it was really, I thought it was cool that he was kind of like vulnerable. I'm a beginner here. So everybody, we're all beginners.
Yeah. I feel like that's how it is, like whenever you're entering like a new medium.
Yeah.
It's always a little bit daunting, but you can't mess up. As Bob Ross would say, only happy accidents.
I think that these projects are pretty forgiving, these designs that you've given us. And I mean, part of me, the rebel in me wants to do the sequoia trees, purple trees with pink trunks or something, just so that I'm not even trying to make it look realistic. I'm doing a fantasy version of this, and which I think could be kind of fun too.
Okay, so we're finishing up the water here. And then I'm going to kind of show you how I apply that like first mid-tone layer when it's like something super intricate like the grass.
Yes, I gotta admit, my grass does not look like your grass. And I think that's when I was wowed by the technique, when I was like, oh, I struggled to get the lines as thin as you did. So I'm going to try to pay attention to this part here.
So the trick to kind of like, the trick to this that I learned, which sounds very funny, but when you're putting on the mid-tone, and if you want to just like slap it on as like a first layer, sometimes there's like, bubbles in that gap. So I literally will like blow through it like it's a bubble blower to get the paint out in between. So I'll show you what I mean.
Oh my gosh, that green that you have is the most gorgeous. I love it.
So you just go and then they pop away.
Oh, literally you're blowing on it.
Yeah. You literally do it like you're blowing bubbles, and you can get the water out of those like little.
Oh, so you kind of don't get like little puddles.
Yeah, that way you don't get it like gathering and like just acting weird, because the gouache has a mind of its own, but in a fun way.
Do you ever use like a heat gun or any other like electric tool to dry your layers?
I fast forward with the heat tool a lot. So I have a heat gun, and I have a hair dryer as well, like an old hair dryer that we just kept to use for paint. And so I just kind of go back and forth depending on what's needed. So we've got our here, and now there's no bubbles.
Okay, someone in chat has suggested an art form that it's like, but it's a word. It looks like a German word that I'm. Shall I try it? Scherenschnitte, paper cutting.
Okay, an old art form of silhouettes. Now I need to research that after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it already existed.
Making items is easy, selling them is hard, as I'm learning as I go. Kathy, you should make sure you keep your eyes peeled for our upcoming or even our past Daydream to Dream job live streams, because those are a little more centered around selling the things that you make. And Kate does that too, but we're just focusing on the making part of it in this stream. But true that does also require techniques and strategies, and we can all learn from each other. So that's a really fun one. Check those out on our channel if you haven't yet.
Yeah, we've got a few of those on there.
I love the green palette that you're in right now.
So you were asking how I got the lines so thin.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a specific kind of brush that you want to use. That's called a rigger.
Oh, okay.
And so it's always going to have super long bristles like this. And that is what's going to give you the like ability to control how thick or thin it is, but it's also gonna like make your lines super straight. So this is how I draw like all my long lines on architecture and stuff like that. So it's the type of brush that's the trick.
Okay, right. I'm sure it's not just my lack of painting experience and skill. It's the brush. Yeah.
My mom just started with watercolor, and so I recommended this brush to her, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, it's
Makes all the difference." Yes. No, I'm being self-deprecating, but it is true that sometimes using the right tools can make all the difference for things like that. Okay, I kind of look at that.
You get it like that level of like start out thicker at the base and then get it up.
Oh, it's so satisfying. Yeah, mine is much more like an impressionist effect.
Anyone can channel their inner Van Gogh.
Exactly.
And yeah, then you just kind of are creating like the front layer for this. And
I think just your ability to think in layers as you paint is something like that we can all internalize, because I look at it as one and I'm like, how do I get the little pieces of light green in between the pieces of dark green? You know, which is not how one paints.
One of the other like tips that I have as you're doing this, that you don't put like all this detail into it and then just cover it up, is, and you can't see this on this one because I have them covered up, but I will take a watercolor pencil and just mark the lowest point at the layer on top so that I know like that's like my detail point.
I did that on this one. Yeah, like I'm only gonna paint. Yeah, sorry, I haven't done the blowing part.
Learn that the hard way.
Oh yeah, gouache. It's spelled like Gouache. Gouache. I'd never heard of it before, but
confused with gua sha. It's a form of skincare.
Oh,
I've had people have said that before. They're like,
that's hilarious. That's a great like play on words.
It's great for your skin though.
And the brush was called a rigger brush.
Yeah.
Jack, there is a list of supplies that you get when you sign up. There's like a PDF that has a list and has links to all of these things. It doesn't have the specific rigger brush. That was something we needed to really, interrogate Kate to get. We're really getting the secrets in the stream.
That's a live stream exclusive secret.
And I see some folks asking if this can be cut on the Glowforge Aura, or do you need the Performance Series? Definitely can be cut on the Aura. This material that we're using, it's not a proof grade material. It's mixed media. What do we call this? Canvas board?
I just kind of categorize it under artboard. It's
heavyweight dual surface artboard. Yeah, artboard. So you can get this kind of thing, and it's really amazing how much it tolerates the paint too. It's not getting through onto the back of my table here. But yeah, so that will work in any of the Glowforge printers, and you can make them different sizes. Like you'll notice this one, I printed all on one page, so it's little. And then this one, I printed on multiple pages and made it big. So you could do it as big as you could make the back as big as the bed on your Glowforge is technically by just scaling the file. Just make sure that if you're resizing the file that you are grabbing all of the elements and resizing them the exact same. Otherwise they will not fit together once you layer them.
And then you can just kind of go crazy as much or as little as you want.
Look how good that looks.
I love painting grass. I have one painting that I did with the 3D artboard, and the entire front panel is just hand-drawn grass. I find it incredibly relaxing.
I see on your Instagram sometimes, some of your paintings take you 30, 50, 100 hours of painting detail work, right? Like these aren't quick things.
I don't even count hours anymore, and I really should.
I was surprised how much the time flew when I made this last week. I sat down at my kitchen table and listened to an audiobook. Oh, that reminds me. I did make a playlist for this as well on Spotify. Kind of like inspired by the vibes for this. It's a good one. So if we can pop it into chat, I gave it to our chatters earlier and we can pop it in, but it's on Spotify and it has like Fleetwood Mac and Noah Kahan and Maggie Rogers and Tom Petty, and it's kind of vibey and cool. So But I was surprised how fast the time went. I spent probably, I don't know, an hour or a little more on mine, and time flies.
You know, the funny thing is, as soon as I started working in 3D, I worked so much faster because it like breaks it down into sections, and I think it makes it less daunting than like one flat painting for some reason.
Right? That makes total sense because any anything that's like a big project can feel huge mentally, and breaking it down is such a funny trick how we're able to trick our brains. Like I'm a distance runner. I did my first marathon last October, and I'm just about to start training for my second one. And my long runs, I totally do these funny mental things to break them up just in my head. I'm still running 20 miles, but I'm like, oh no, I'm just running 4 miles 5 times, you see, like, and things like that.
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, you have to. The national park files that are available as part of this stream for free are Sequoia, Great Smoky Mountains, and Yosemite, which you're seeing right now, and those are free. In terms of other national parks, I don't think you're selling any files separately right now, Kate, right?
No, not right now.
But you never know. So definitely follow her on Kate Hickman Art on Instagram, and she has a website. She also sells her own work. So,
and if you want prints of these, they're on there. So, and plus 20 other parks.
Yes, true. Yeah, Yosemite is a national park, right? It's not a state, but not Yosemite. Joshua Tree is a national park, right? Yeah, I have this. I can't remember what brand this blanket is. Oh yeah, it says it right here, Joshua Tree National Park. But it's like a cool national parks collection with like rumple blankets, like huge Joshua trees on it. I love this one. I feel like our national parks have been getting a lot of love in pop culture and merch and stuff the last few years, which they need. So that one national parks store is so cool. I bought a lot of gifts on it.
Yeah.
It's looking so beautiful. We're getting compliments in the chat, Kate.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of bouncing back and forth between highlights and shadows just because it's grass. So I want it to look pretty layered.
It really does. Like I would have thought it was done, and it looks so much more dimensional now that you've spent an extra minute on it. Yeah. Hey, someone's asking, looking at your Gates of the Valley project today, which is this, right? I don't see Half Dome. Is it way in the back of the top view?
The angle of this one, it's kind of off a little bit more to the right. So I do have a painting of the Half Dome actually, because my brother won the lottery that they have to like go to the top of the Half Dome.
Yeah.
And he took this panoramic photo of like the whole thing. And so I went and I painted that. It's at my other place, so it's not here. But I have been thinking about turning that one into 3D. I made that one flat, and I was like, should have made it 3D. So, alrighty. Do we want to get into the layering?
So it's fully painted now. So you added all the reflections and the dimensions and shadows to the water, and then we just saw your grass technique.
Let me show you what tape I use, or adhesive. So there's a couple options that you can do. You can cut out boning strips with like our proof grade wood and draft board if you want it to be like super stiff. But an alternative that I like to that's also like much more user friendly is the double-sided foam tape from Recollections.
I think that's exactly what I bought too. Yep.
So you can get them in a bunch of different widths. So like I will take these out so I can show you, because the Sequoia one is much thinner, right? So you've got like thinner tree trunks in there than maybe a 1/4 inch.
Like the actual pieces that you're attaching are so thin. I haven't printed that one yet.
So I'll be able to show you. You just can't see the thickness side by side in the packaging. And if it would like to come out, that would be lovely.
How does the paint look after laser cutting? Oh, I think you're talking about I was going to say, we laser cut first and then painted. I think we're referencing a different question.
Wriggled it out. So you can see these two are like totally different thicknesses. One is
Oh yeah.
0.25 and one is 0.125. So it's like a quarter inch versus like what, 1/16? I'm not math savvy, but anyway.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Sure. But so like these, like this one would work for this tree trunk, for example. But then when you went to add this tiny guy in,
Yeah.
you could use this one because it's much thinner. So you can kind of like mix and match. There's also like dot versions. But we're going to go in with the 1/4 inch because this one is mostly horizontal pieces stacked on top of each other. So there's a couple different ways that you can attach. But I like to go from the back forward, forward, backwards, whatever you'd like. This part is entirely up to you. But I always recommend, instead of putting the tape directly onto here, I always put it on the back of this so that I can see that it's not like peeking too much in the top. So I'll go kind of like, you can go this way if you'd like. You can also go horizontal. So I think for this one, I'm going to go horizontal.
Yeah. Is there anything with the placement of the tape and like how dimensional it looks? Probably not, right? You're just wanting it sort of even.
It more so is just like where you think it needs the most support.
Oh, I see.
So like, for example, you would want to have like little supports like around here.
Yeah.
This is the part that would lean because it has more cuts in it, so it's like lighter.
Kate, do you have handy? If you don't, that's okay. But do you know off the top of your head the settings that you used for artboard? Like you didn't use the cardboard settings, did you?
Which one I used? I didn't use the cardboard settings, but it was close. So my artboard settings are 199 speed, 100 power, 1 pass.
Okay, and that was for a Glowforge Pro, right?
Yeah, for a Glowforge.
Okay, so if you have a different Glowforge, that's going to vary, and it also could vary on your Glowforge since that's a manual setting with this material. But like I said, you could also start with the corrugated cardboard and dial that down a little bit and start with it as a reference point.
That's where I started.
Yeah.
Week. So, and different brands of artboard might be different. This is just the Canson one. So
Yeah.
when you go to align the layers together, I match up the bottoms and then I kind of like just shimmy it together so that it's, and I fold it up like in a little envelope. And then
that's smart how you just did that. I noticed Ralph did a similar aligning strategy.
Too much, but if you want, you were to do this with the draft board boning, you can paint it to make it the same color. So you want to get into it.
Oh yeah, so she was mentioning draft board. If you wanted to, instead of buying the foam pieces, you could make your own dimensional supports using draft board or another material, anything. But the draft board you can paint it, and so then if it peeked out, it would still match.
That's one of the little extra additions. I did that with my last collection. So that was a little, just like one of those fine details, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this way you don't have to like measure it out. You just kind of put it down and then cut. Because I am always team lazy man's way to do things. And sometimes it does not want to peel up. But it will cooperate. There we go. Because crafting should be fun, not a bunch of math. That's your thing.
Amen. I'm sure there's some crafters that enjoy the math part, but it's not me.
Math should be optional. Let me put it that way. And then I'll stack this one on. So this one I just went vertical to show you kind of like the difference. And you can put more supporting strips in the middle if you need it. But I noticed that that is just kind of like as you work larger, you need more, for sure.
So satisfying seeing it come together.
Assembling is like my favorite part.
Well, if you are just joining us, I did want to mention, I see some people here in the chat don't yet have a Glowforge and are wondering how they might do this. And I see people suggesting checking out makerspaces or even local libraries that might have a laser cutter that you can use. If you are looking to get your own Glowforge soon, maybe you just got a tax refund or you're getting one imminently, hopefully. Crossing my fingers for all of you. We do have some bundles going on right now. They're only a limited time availability, but we have an Aura bundle and a Pro HD bundle. So whether you're wanting to try laser cutting for the first time with the Aura and do some crafty things, or you're wanting to really dive in and print big things and print things fast and use all the materials with the Pro, we've got bundles that include the laser, the filter, and proof grade materials, so kind of everything you need to get started. And we'll send an email about this afterwards, but to make sure that you see them. But I do know the Pro version is about a $1,200 savings, and the Aura version is about a $600 savings. So it's a good deal if this is something that you're wanting to get into this year. Oh my gosh.
Laser focus. Okay.
Look at the angle that you just had it at was cool because we could really see those layers. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it'll just kind of sit like this. And if you want, you can leave it like, you know, kind of like with something weighted as after you've painted before you assemble. Leave it under something weighted, and that will help with the warping or the bowing rather that you're seeing. But this is also very normal with artboard and watercolor, so just know that. But yeah, so this is how it'll sit, and then you can add in your shadow box.
Yes, so this is kind of the frame that we printed at the beginning. And we use what kind of, I asked you, but you couldn't hear me. That was funny. Is it cherry? That's what it looks like.
It's cherry.
Okay.
So you can do one of two things. You can do it based off of, you know, because as you add in different spacing material, it's going to change how thick it is.
Yes.
So you can measure with your caliper how thick this portion is, the bottom left corner, or wherever the most things are layered. And then you'll know how many layers of the proof grade that you need in order to make your shadow box extra lifted. So for this one, I had 3 of the frames and then 1 backboard that you can add it to, and or rather adhere it to. And then if an optional step is you can actually put a piece of clear acrylic in here and then have it be kind of like, you know, glass.
Yeah.
But don't worry about dust because all you need is like a can of air or a little blower fan, whatever it is. And it's very, very easy to keep dust free. And I don't notice any dust build up myself.
Really?
So yeah, so once all the layers in the top are like adhered together, this is
Oh my gosh.
how she looks.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah. So
we were thinking another thing you could do if you wanted to personalize it even further is, and you did the frame, you could engrave the dates of a trip that you've taken to that park on the frame itself, on the front. That could be really cool if you wanted to, or the back, I guess. Another thing you could do is use wood veneer on the edges to kind of finish the frame and make it look even more finished. It does look great. Add glow in the dark sparkles for stars. Okay, Joy, that's funny that you say that because when I was walking around Michael's, I could not stay away from the glitter stuff. There was so many disco ball things and there was so much glitter. And I was going, that's actually why I ended up doing the Starscape on mine, was because I was like, gosh, I want to do glitter. And I almost bought glitter to add to this. And I was like, nope, just stick with the paint, Bailey. Don't overcomplicate it. But I wanted to.
You have metallic gouache, so feel free to go wild.
They do. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful.
Look, and the shadow box is like my favorite part because, and especially if you're able to like put these somewhere that has like a west facing window, or like somewhere that the sunlight hits it from an angle, it makes it look so much more dramatic in the best way.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I really love how it turned out.
Wow. Well, this was so fun. Y'all, we are wrapping up soon. So if you are still here and you haven't yet entered our giveaway for the $250 Glowforge gift card, make sure you do that. It's pinned at the top of the chat on YouTube. And like I was just mentioning, you will get an email from us afterwards. It'll have a link to rewatch this. This will be available on YouTube. So if you weren't sitting there with a paintbrush in hand during the last hour, that's okay. You can do this anytime afterwards. But we'll send an email afterwards with the link to watch again. And also with a link to those bundles that I mentioned. They are limited time only. And we've got 2 different versions of them. So whichever might be right for you right now. And any more questions we should get to before we wrap it up? Everybody's just singing your praises here. I love it. They're so funny. I found it such a confidence boost, even though I know you did the work of the design, but I was like, look what I made. I am an artist.
I'm a firm believer that everybody is an artist. So.
Exactly. I love the shadow box too. I think I'm going to have to make one for this. It's looking a little naked now next to its counterparts. So... well, I think that's it. Well, thanks so much, Kate. That was wonderful.
I had so much fun with you guys.
Well, thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining. And keep your eyes peeled. We will make sure that we resend the link with those files so everyone can make them at home. And thanks again for joining. We'll see you around.